Tommy was born with cerebral palsy, but to me, he was perfect. At 8 years old, he had the brightest smile and the biggest heart of any kid I'd ever known. Sure, he needed a wheelchair and sometimes had trouble with his speech, but he was brilliant, reading at a high school level and solving math problems that stumped adults. My ex-wife couldn't handle it. She left when Tommy was 3, claiming she never signed up for this. Her loss became my greatest blessing. Tommy and I became a team, just the two of us against the world. My family had always been difficult about Tommy. After my divorce, their awkwardness turned into outright hostility. My mother made excuses about accessibility issues whenever we were invited to gatherings. My brother Kevin constantly made jokes about Tommy being slow or broken. But this was Christmas. Surely they could put their ignorance aside for one day. I've been dreading the family gathering for weeks, but Tommy was excited. He'd made handmade cards for everyone and practiced saying Merry Christmas clearly so his speech wouldn't be misunderstood. "Daddy, do you think Uncle Kevin will like my card?" Tommy asked as I helped him into his wheelchair that morning. I drew his favorite football team. "He'll love it, buddy," I lied, already knowing Kevin would probably throw it away when we left. We arrived at Mom's house to find the entire extended family already there. Kevin and his wife Sandra, their twin girls, Mom's sister Janet, and several cousins with their kids. The house was warm and festive, filled with the smell of ham and the sound of laughter. The laughter stopped when we walked in. "Oh," Mom said, her smile faltering as she saw Tommy's wheelchair. "I forgot you were bringing. I didn't think about the stairs." There were 2 small steps into the living room where everyone was gathered. Hardly insurmountable, but Mom was already making it seem like we'd brought a tank. "It's fine," I said, lifting Tommy's wheelchair easily. "We've dealt with worse." Kevin watched us with obvious irritation. "Maybe he'd be more comfortable in the kitchen," he suggested. "More space for the equipment." "The wheelchair isn't equipment, Kevin. It's mobility assistance. And Tommy wants to be with the family." "Right," Kevin muttered, exchanging glances with Sandra. I settled Tommy near the Christmas tree with the other kids, hoping they'd include him in their games. For a few minutes, it seemed like it might work. Tommy showed his cousins his new tablet, explaining how the voice software helped him communicate when his speech was unclear. Then Kevin's daughter Emma, who was 10, asked Tommy why he couldn't walk. "I have cerebral palsy," Tommy explained patiently. "It means my brain sends different signals to my muscles. But I could do lots of things, I just do them differently." "That's gross," Emma said, wrinkling her nose. "Are we going to catch it?" "You can't catch cerebral palsy," Tommy said, still patient. "It's something you're born with." "Emma, come away from there," Sandra called sharply. "Come sit with Mommy." My heart broke watching Tommy's confusion as the other children were suddenly called away from him. Within minutes, he was alone by the tree while the other kids played across the room. "It's okay, buddy," I whispered, kneeling beside his wheelchair. "Want to show me your new book?" Tommy nodded, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. He was 8, but he wasn't stupid. He knew when he was being excluded. Dinner was worse. Mom had set up a kids' table, but there was no way to get Tommy's wheelchair close enough. When I asked if we could move him to the main table, Kevin exploded. "For God's sake, we can't rearrange everything because of his condition. Can't he just sit in a regular chair?" "He needs a wheelchair for support," I explained for the 1,000th time. "His muscle control." "Then maybe he should eat in the kitchen where there's more room," Sandra suggested. "It would be easier for everyone." "Easier for everyone except Tommy," I said, anger creeping into my voice. We compromised by pulling a small table next to Tommy's wheelchair, but it meant he was eating alone while the other kids laughed and played at their table. I sat with him, but I could feel the family's resentment like a physical weight. Halfway through dinner, Tommy knocked over his cup of juice. It was an accident. His hand coordination wasn't perfect, but Kevin acted like he'd done it on purpose. "Great," Kevin sighed dramatically. "Now we have to clean up his mess." "I'll get it," I said, reaching for paper towels. "I got it," Tommy said loudly, trying to help. His speech was slurred from excitement and embarrassment, making him harder to understand. "Jesus Christ, can you make him stop that noise?" Kevin snapped. "We're trying to eat here. That noise is my son trying to help," I said coldly. "Well, tell him to try quieter. Some of us don't want to listen to that," all through dinner. Tommy's face crumpled. He understood enough to know Uncle Kevin was being mean about his speech. His eyes filled with tears, and he tried to make himself smaller in his wheelchair. "Kevin, that's enough," I warned. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. This is supposed to be a nice family dinner, not some kind of charity event." "Charity event? Come on, Mike. Look around. The kid can't eat without making a mess. He can't talk without sounding like that, and everyone's walking on eggshells trying not to stare. It's uncomfortable for everyone." I felt my hands clenching into fists. "Tommy is your nephew." "Tommy is a burden," Kevin said bluntly. "And frankly, I don't understand why you don't just put him somewhere where professionals can deal with him. There are places for kids like that." The entire table went silent. Tommy was crying now, not understanding all the words but understanding the tone perfectly. "Places for kids like what?" I asked, my voice deadly quiet. "You know what I mean. Special kids. Damaged kids. Kids who need more help than a normal parent can provide." "Kevin, please," Mom said weakly, but she didn't defend Tommy. Neither did anyone else. "He's embarrassing," Kevin continued, warming to his theme. "Look at him, crying and making those weird noises. This is Christmas dinner, not a hospital ward." That's when Tommy tried to say, "I'm sorry," and it came out garbled because he was crying. Kevin actually rolled his eyes. "See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. We can't even have a conversation without the soundtrack." I stood up so fast my chair fell over. "Get up, buddy," I said gently to Tommy, unlocking his wheelchair brakes. "We're leaving." "But Daddy, I made cards for everyone," Tommy said through his tears. "I know, sweetheart. We'll get them out some other time." "Mike, don't be dramatic," Mom said. Kevin didn't mean. Kevin meant exactly what he said. And you all sat there and let him say it. I looked around the table at my so-called family. Not one of you stood up for an 8-year-old child. Not one. "We shouldn't have to stand up for anything," Kevin said. "We shouldn't have to deal with this at all. Christmas is for normal families." I lifted Tommy out of his wheelchair and carried him toward the door, folding the chair with my free hand. Tommy wrapped his arms around my neck and buried his face in my shoulder. "You're making a mistake," Kevin called after us. "When you need family support, real support, don't come crying to us." "I wouldn't dream of it," I said without turning around. As I buckled Tommy in his car seat, he looked up at me with those big, trusting eyes. "Daddy, why don't they like me?" "It's not about you, buddy. Some people just don't understand how special you are." "Did I ruin Christmas?" "You could never ruin anything, Tommy. You make everything better just by being you." We spent Christmas evening at home, just the two of us. Tommy opened his presents with delight, and we watched Christmas movies while eating pizza. It was the best Christmas we'd had in years. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing with dozens of missed calls and text messages. I ignored them and made Tommy breakfast, but the calls kept coming. Finally, I answered. It was my mother. "Mike, you need to see the news. Channel 7, right now." I turned on the TV just as the morning news was finishing their lead story. Largest single donation in the city's history. Local tech entrepreneur Mike Patterson has donated $15 million to the Children's Disability Foundation, funding a new research center and therapy facility that will serve over 500 children annually. The screen showed a photo of me from last year's Technology Awards ceremony, where I'd won the Innovation Prize for developing assistive communication software. Patterson, whose company Dataflow Solutions was recently acquired by Microsoft for $200 million, says the donation was inspired by his own son's experiences with cerebral palsy. The news anchor continued reading from my press statement. "Every child deserves to be celebrated for who they are, not hidden away because they're different. This facility will ensure that children with disabilities have access to the best possible care and technology, and that their families know they're not alone." My phone was ringing off the hook. Kevin's name appeared on the screen, and I almost declined the call. But curiosity got the better of me. "Mike, Jesus, why didn't you tell us? 200 million? Are you kidding me?" "Tell you what, Kevin. About the company's sale. About the money. We're family, man. We should have known." "Family," I repeated slowly. Interesting choice of words. There was a pause. "Look, about yesterday. Yesterday you called my son embarrassing and damaged. You said he belonged in an institution. You ruined Christmas for an 8-year-old child because he was born different. I was stressed. I didn't mean. You meant every word. And now you're calling because you saw in the news that I have money. It's not about the money. Everything's about money with you, Kevin. Just like everything was about your comfort yesterday when you threw a disabled child out of Christmas dinner. The local paper picked up the story that afternoon. By evening, it had gone national. My donation was being called inspirational and a game changer for disability advocacy. Interview requests poured in from major networks. But the best part was watching my family scramble to control the narrative. Kevin posted on Facebook about how proud he was of his amazing brother. Mom called reporters to talk about what a wonderful father I was and how supportive the family had always been. Sandra actually had the nerve to call and suggest that Tommy might like to spend more time with his cousins now that they understood his special gifts. I didn't return any of their calls. Instead, I used my platform to talk about something more important than money: acceptance. In every interview, I shared Tommy's story, not for sympathy, but to highlight how society treats children with disabilities. My son is brilliant, funny, and loving, I told CNN. But some people can't see past his wheelchair. They treat him like he's broken instead of different. That has to change. The Children's Disability Foundation facility broke ground 6 months later. Tommy and I were there for the ceremony, along with dozens of other families who'd struggled with exclusion and discrimination. "This is because of me?" Tommy asked, watching the construction crews. "This is because you taught me that every child deserves to be celebrated," I said. Kevin showed up to the groundbreaking ceremony uninvited, trying to get photos with me for social media. Security escorted him out when I explained he wasn't welcome. A year later, the facility opened to national acclaim. It serves over 600 children now, providing therapy, education, and support services. More importantly, it's changed how our entire city thinks about disability. Tommy is thriving. He's in advanced classes at school, has friends who value his intelligence and humor, and volunteers at the center teaching other kids how to use assistive technology. Sometimes people ask if I regret giving away so much money. The answer is simple. Every dollar was worth seeing Tommy smile when he cuts the ribbon at a new program opening or watching other families find the support my family never gave us. Kevin and the others learned the hard way that family isn't about blood. It's about love, acceptance, and standing up for each other when it matters most. They chose their comfort over my son's dignity. I chose my son, and I make that choice 1,000,000 times over, regardless of how much it cost.